A lot of y'all like always ask like where we operate out of, but right here we run our West Coast operation from this office. From this office here, we also do a lot of deals from the West Coast here. We got a couple more offices here and there. Those are the bathrooms. And right here, this is where the brain trusts a lot of times meet. Guess what? That's the lunchroom. This is
or social media out of, actually.
So this is where David sits. Here's what we got a lot of our recording equipment. So right out of here is where we operate our social media out of. Right over here, as I'm walking through, this is where Julie sits. This is where she operates out of. This is where Brianna sits, right next to her. She does a lot of assistance for her. Right here, for those of you that have visited our offices before, you all have been in this room. This is kind of our training facility. Here's our partner-driven logos. This is where we teach our own staff. This is where we work with our own real estate agents. And this is where many of y'all have visited us here. This is where y'all sat and you learned from us. Right here is our brain trusts for our real estate teams sit here. This is where they operate out of. This is where their assistants sit. This is where the team leads sit. And that's really cool. Continuing down the hallway, this are a bunch of deals or properties that we got. Right in here, we have Laura sits in this office, and those of you that are either our partners or doing deals with us, you all know Laura. This is where Juhi sits. She runs a lot of our marketing right out of this office. So that's where she operates out of. Right over here, right across the hall, and it's a big hall. Oh, it's locked. They locked in there.
Right here, our closer,
Mary, sits here. Those of y'all that know us know Mary. She's phenomenal. She closes all our deals. Oh, here's some of the partner-driven deals. Not all of them, but some of them that we are having the process right now. Kind of what we're doing with them, that they got going on and all this. This is where some of our negotiators operate out of. Right over here. This is where they're negotiating deals for us, and this is where they're negotiating deals for some of y'all as our partners. Turn that off, and right in here is my office. This is my puppy. I got a lot of, for those of y'all that know me, know that I enjoy a cigar every once in a while, so we got that floor hit wall there. And so that's our office, guys. It's about 10,000 square feet. It's a fantastic, and this is where we operate of. And guys, I know some of y'all are probably dialing in straight a little bit late, and you're trying to figure out what the heck is he doing. Well, I'm doing this off my phone today because we could not get my emails to come in on my laptop. So we scrambled, got this on my phone, and I'm doing it out of my office tonight, working late. And so I thought I'd give some of y'all a tour. All of y'all are listening in tonight live, or maybe listen to us on a recording. This is where we operate out of. All right, guys, so let's talk about why we do this, okay? Why we do these Tuesday night calls. There's really two reasons we do them, guys. Number one, we want this to be informative for you. You know, we want you all to learn. The great thing about, the great thing about being an investor is there's no secrets. You know, this is not a business of exclusion. This is not a business like, you know, if I owned a dry cleaner here and there's a dry cleaner across the street from me, that I would do everything to put that dry cleaner out. I learned 20 years ago that this is not a business where I want to put my competition out. This is a business where I want to work with my competition. This is a business where I want to work with other investors. I want to collaborate. I want to expand. I do truly want to teach them and show them everything that I know about this business. Because the one thing I've learned in this business, that those of us or those individuals that become islands, oh, by the way, I hope you all don't mind that I'm just like thinking that's kind of weird that I'm walking, but you know, I operate better when I'm walking. As a matter of fact, those of you that know me know that I'm constant state of motion, okay? And so I'm just going to be walking through the the webinar tonight. So anyway, it's a business of inclusion, not a business of exclusion. It's a business where we like to share, we like to collaborate. And so one of the reasons we do these every Tuesday is we truly want you to learn. You know, some of y'all are not going to be doing anything with us. Some of y'all are looking at us strictly as people to collaborate with. Some of y'all are looking at us strictly from a perspective of educators. Some of y'all are looking from a perspective of maybe somebody to inspire you to do other things. Like I said, our paths will never necessarily cross at the point of us doing anything together, but we are going to be, you know, your kind of guiding light. And I hope for those of you that never do anything with us directly, hopefully we are part of your success story. Hopefully we are inspiring you. Hopefully we are teaching you. So that's one of the reasons we do this. The second reason we do these Tuesday night sessions is that we're looking for more partners. I am an investor here. Everything that is done in our office spaces here, it is all about investing. It's all about doing deals. I've been doing this for 20 some years. I've got 3,500 deals behind me. And for years and years, I have done these real estate deals myself. And it was the same thing that every one other investor does. You know, it's kind of like see deal, do deal, see deal, do deal, find deal, execute deal. And what happened over a period of time as we ran with that model, a couple things started happening. And the first thing that started happening, and those of you that are in a business right now, you know it's getting tougher and tougher. A lot of people getting in, a lot of people doing this business. And so it was getting tougher and tougher to find deals, okay? The second thing that started happening along the way is that, you know, over 20 some years of doing this, we acquired an unusual ability here, and that is to do and execute deals remotely. That is a very unusual thing for most real estate investors. You know, real estate ultimately is a very localized kind of business. And so as we acquired this skill set, after a while I started thinking, you know, I got to do more deals. And the good thing is I could do things remotely because I was investing all the way from the East Coast down to Florida all the way to California for many, many years. So how do we capitalize on this talent? And so a while back, I just kind of went with this messaging to the social media. And it was our kind of willingness to partner with people across the United States and do deals with them, okay? And to make a long story short, that messaging started just a little while back, or I guess some time ago now. And now this message has really revolutionized our offices, has revolutionized what I do on a daily basis, has revolutionized who the people are that are even here and what they do on a daily basis. Because our real estate model is very simple now. We partner with people literally all over the United States, and we do deals with them. So the second reason that we're doing these Tuesday night webinars is we're looking for more partners. We're looking for more people to do deals with. We're looking for more people that want to partner with somebody of our stature. And so what's in it for our partners? Here's what happens when you're a partner of ours. Number one, you're piggyback off our experience of 20 some years in a business, of our experience of 3,500 deals. You're piggybacking off the fact that I, along with my team, coach you all the way through the process. You piggyback off the fact that we literally develop leads for you in your own marketplace. You piggyback off the fact that I give you all the money to buy it. I give you all the money to fix it, so you never have to spend any of your own money out of pocket. Okay, then my team helps you and I fix the property, and then we sell it and we split the profits 50-50. And if you think this is something that you want to be a part of, or where you take all the risk out of the business, okay, and you get all the upside in the business, and you feel like this is something that sounds really cool, I'd like to take advantage of something like this. This is the second reason why we do our Tuesday night webinars. We want you to potentially become one of our partners, because this is exactly what we do with individuals all over the United States. So before I get rolling with our topic, anytime tonight or after you done listening to this, if you feel like you do want to apply to be one of our partners anywhere in the United States, simply go to our website at www.coachingbypeter.com. If you're ready to roll as a partner, don't be afraid to call me at area code 404-915-9685. That's 404-915-9685. So here's what I want to talk to you guys about today. I want to talk to you about reality. You know, so many times we get on these sessions and we talk about all the cool things that take place in real estate. You know, how you negotiate better deals, how you market at a higher level, you know, how you buy things that you didn't think you could buy, you know, how you strategize through middles of deals, how you make more money doing this instead of doing that. Last week we shared our stories of where we came from to where we are now. Sometimes we talk about lifestyles on these things. So the bottom line is a lot of times we talk about some great things to get you going in this business and to inspire you. But the reality is in this business, there's also an upside, but that upside comes with a downside. And I will argue this, as I have argued for many years, that in real estate, the downside is just as big as the upside. Matter of fact, I will tell you this, in my opinion, real estate is a pretty devastating downside. How do I know this? I lived it. I've experienced it. You know, I've been to the tops of the heaps of this business, and I've also been in the dumps of this business. I've been in this business where I lost properties, I've lost real estate, I lost money, I lost relationships, I lost acquaintances, I lost friends, loss. And so what I want to talk to you about today in the next couple minutes, I want to just share with you some of the things, some of the pitfalls of this business, and how you have to be smart in order to, because the good thing is, the reality is most of these pitfalls can be avoided if you know what to look for. And the other thing is, if you do happen to encounter them and aren't able to avoid them, we encounter them here every day. Even though we know what they are, sometimes they just blindside us and hit us from nowhere, okay? But the reality is, not only can you potentially avoid these pitfalls, but if they hit you between like right up here, these pitfalls could be handled when you know how to handle them the right way. And pitfalls, when I refer to pitfalls tonight, what I'm really talking about is things that literally could create problems for you. Monetary problems, financial problems, you know, problems with the deals, and anything that can go wrong. That is like my definition of a pitfall tonight, okay? So let's talk about some of the big pitfalls in this business. You know, one of the biggest pitfalls, and you know, there's really no order that, you know, for those of you that have been watching me and know me, you know, I don't really prepare for things. You know, I talk about strictly off the cuff, and I do that because I talk from real life experience. You know, I don't need a monologue. I don't need to diagram things out. I've been doing this. So I don't necessarily do things in any particular order, and I won't do in particular today. I just want to talk to you about the pitfalls that come to mind and kind of what to do if and when they happen. So one of the biggest pitfalls I see from the very beginning of a real estate deal, or even beginning from someone's career, is a basic pitfall of marketing. See, the one thing you hear me say all the time when you hear me talk about marketing, and guys, let me tell you something. When it comes to marketing, you know, I think I have the authority to speak about marketing. You know, I've been marketing for the 20 years I've been doing this. I've been marketing for 20 years. I've spent 7 figures in terms of marketing. I've done all kinds of techniques. I've done all kinds of strategies when it comes to marketing. Still do a number of them. But I could tell you, and you hear me talk about this all the time, and I say, look, you're not going to reinvent the wheel in this business. You know, you got direct mail, you got web-based marketing, you got offline marketing like signage, door knocking, you got bird dogs, you got real estate agents. I mean, the bottom line is no one that I'm aware of in the last 20 years, maybe the internet's really penetrated this business, but beyond that, marketing is marketing, right? But the difference in the marketing and why some people become successful with it and some don't, it's how they do it. That's really the pitfall to anything in this business. It's not that you're doing something that's wrong, it's just you're doing it incorrectly, okay? So the first pitfall I want to talk to you about when it comes to marketing is the areas that I see people market to. You know, I've seen people like that I know drop an inordinate amount of money into marketing to have 0 results for it, right? So here's some of the pitfalls that they encounter. Number one, marketing to the wrong areas. You know, you hear me say all the time that this business is not really necessarily location driven. It's more numbers driven. And that is correct. There's no question. This business is more market driven. But I could tell you when it comes to locations, you could drop an inordinate amount of money in certain locations and have tiny results. Okay? So one of the biggest pitfalls when it comes to marketing is just simply which location in your market are you marketing to? You know, how are you picking your zip codes? How are you picking your areas? You know, why are you sending things to this part of town and not necessarily to this part of town, okay? For those of you that have heard me talk about this, you heard me refer to, we're looking for hodgepodge market areas. We're looking for areas that have a mixture of real estate in them. So when you're thinking about marketing in your area and you're thinking, I got a finite amount of money, I got a finite amount of resources, and let's say I want to do direct mail or maybe I want to do signs, you know, where do I deploy them? Very simple. Deploy them into areas that have mixture of real estate there. So if you had a zip code to choose from, choose the zip code that's got, you know, pockets inside there that are tremendously different. You know, one house is different from the next house. You see a newer house, you see an older house. You see a renovated, you see a fixer-upper. You know, you see a residential property, you see a commercial property. So when you're picking areas to market, do not market to areas where they all look the same. You know, as a matter of fact, I think it was like last week I was talking to somebody that dropped upwards of about $30,000 in the marketing, and we were looking at their results, and the results were abysmal. And we were talking about where they were sending their mails. They were actually doing direct mail. And we were talking about where they were sending their mailer pieces to. I had them describe the area. And without getting into huge detail about what they told me, I kind of regurgitated to them. I said, so are you telling me that if I go into the zip code that you're mailing into, that you're marketing into, is it safe to say that as I look at from one house to the next, to the next, to the next, they all basically look the same? And as they thought about it for a second, I said, yeah, they kind of do look the same. See, those are called cookie cutter areas. We all have them. Some of us live in those areas. You know, actually, my main house is in one of those areas where homes look very, very similar, one to the next. See, that's the first pitfall I want to talk to you about, because that's a huge mistake you're making. If you're putting bandit signs, if you're knocking on doors, if you're doing direct mail, if you're doing geographically centered web-based marketing, and you're deploying your money, your resources into areas that look the same, I think you're wasting a lot of your money. Because think about it, here's the logic. If you live in an area where everything is basically the same, you know, basically the same square footage house, maybe the same, you know, bedroom, bathroom configuration, right? And let's say everybody in that area is selling their houses for about $200,000, right? And now let's say it's my turn as a seller to sell in that area, right? How much am I going to try to sell my house for? I'm going to try to sell for about $200,000 because my neighbor got $200,000. Why shouldn't I get my $200,000? Mine looks just like his, and the neighbor next to him got it, right? Let's say I'm desperate. Let's say I'm going to foreclosure. Let's say I have a sickness in the family. I got to dump my house. Am I going to dump it for $100,000? Absolutely not. Everybody got their $200,000. Maybe to get ahead of the curve, I'll have to discount a little bit. Maybe I come in about $190,000, $180,000, right? Just to be ahead of the market. But nowhere near the kind of discounts that we as investors are looking for. So the first pitfall, don't market into areas where things look exactly the same. It's very hard, very difficult to find very good deals there. Market to areas where everything is all over the place, where you have tremendous amount of pricing fluctuations. Almost all the time, that's where the deals are. Tremendous pitfall right there. I've seen people lose tremendous amount of money doing that. Be smart when you're marketing, okay? Let's talk about another pitfall in this business that I actually experienced really off and on in my own business, probably for the first 10 years, right? And that is, how do you bring people on? You know, the one thing we all talk about, you got to have a team. You got to have a team on your, in this business, right? You got to have the right team. You got to have the right people in this business. And it was amazing to me how, as I hired people in this business, you know, it seems like I hired everybody that either wanted to rip me off, give me a wrong piece of information, not really care about my company, and not do too much to help me. I mean, I remember literally in the beginning, I actually caught somebody. We were doing this as when I got started years and years ago. Somebody was literally using my money, was an in-house person I had. We were generating seller leads through mailers or whatever we were doing, right? And they were taking my leads and they were feeding them to my competition. I found out about it totally by accident, because they happened to contact somebody that I knew, And that person was nice enough to tell me that, hey, you know, this person is taking your in-house leads and basically selling them to the open market. So one thing I learned back then that I'm still very much in tune with is have some fail-safe mechanisms. You got to have checks and balances in this business, especially if you're like a one-man or one-woman show and you only have one person working for you. You know, it's hard to have that checks and balances with another person. Okay, so you got to have some kind of checks and balances that you're putting into your system as you start bringing people on. That's a huge pitfall, bringing the wrong people on board. You know, I've seen people, you know, a big pitfall with people is I've seen people hold on to people way too long. You know, my philosophy is I'm fairly quick to hire, but then I'm also fairly quick to get rid of, to fire, okay? Because what I've learned in this business is most people give off signals pretty early on. You know, it's like being involved in a bad relationships or a relationship. You know, a lot of times you kind of saw it happen, you know, saw it coming ahead of time. Well, same thing in this business. One thing I've learned after hiring people for 20 some years, almost every single person that we ended up letting go of, as you analyze what happened, you can almost like see, my gosh, you know, 2 weeks into this thing or 2 days into this relationship, they're already giving off the wrong signals, right? So be fairly quick to make a decision on a person, a huge, huge pitfall. To see what happens, the pitfall of bringing the wrong people in this business onto your team is that in the end, what they do is they give you the wrong perception of this business. So I remember I had a negotiator in this business that I actually was paying decent amount of money to, had a decent office space for, but their skill set was not there, right? So I started misinterpreting what was going on in the market, but all I had to do was just interpret what was going on with this person. This person was just the wrong person. They just weren't able to, they said the right things. It appeared like they were doing the right things, but they were literally not executing it the right way. And so I made some business decisions based upon that person. And really what I was doing is I was affecting my own business. So pitfall, you got to have the right people on board. You got to have the right people on board. I will tell you a huge piece to me now when we bring people on is simply loyalty. I want somebody that's going to be uberly loyal to me. I want somebody that has a skill set for what we're hiring. I'm not hiring real estate people necessarily. People say, well, you got to hire, you know, if you're going to negotiate, you got to hire somebody that's negotiated real estate deals. You know, if you're going to do this, you got to have, real estate has actually very little to do with the people that we bring on board here. We almost always hire for the skill set that they have. So who's a great negotiator? Great negotiator, somebody that hopefully negotiated something. You know, we have people that set appointments for us around here, for our agents and stuff like that. Guess what? The people that we hire for that, they come out of call centers. You know, they know what it means to pound the phone for, you know, 7, 8, 9 hours a day. You know, Wall Street guys make great phone guys because they dial every day 400 or 500 times. They don't mind talking to people. So loyalty, skill set, not necessarily industry, but skill set to do it. Be able to put checks and balances in. And be quick on making decisions, because most of the time, your initial impression of somebody a lot of times will be the right impression. And they'll give off enough signals in the beginning for you to know whether they're the right person or the wrong person. Huge, huge pitfall. I'll tell you a pitfall that's cost me more money than anything else in this business. It cost me more money 20 years ago, and to this day, this is the pitfall that costs me money. You know, people sometimes say, well, you know, 20 years in the business, thousands of deals, like, can you just nail that deal every time out of the ballpark? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And I could tell you the number one thing that makes us still to this day, change our numbers, redo our spreadsheets, try to correct mistakes is construction. Construction is a pitfall that has, in my opinion, put more people out of this business once you get in this business and once you actually do something. Like before you do something, the number one thing that puts people out, in my opinion, is just lack of, you know, the ability to stick in it, the stickiness. So when people quit before they even have any results, it's just they don't have a big enough vision. But the number one reason people quit once they start doing something in this business, the number one reason that people quit, no question about it, it's construction. I can tell you stories upon, I mean, I was just actually telling this story to somebody that was interviewing me. I literally, when I got started in this business, I had a contractor handcuff, like literally handcuff himself to my house. And I was so uneducated that when he told me that as a contractor doing the construction, he had more rights to to my house than I did, again, because I didn't know any better, I mean, I truly believed him. And he said, I have more rights to be in this house than you do. And I remember literally to this day, this is like, what, 18, 19 years ago now, I had to call the cops on this guy, right? The inability to work with contractors, the inability to pick the right contractors, the inability to supervise contractors, the inability to pay out draws correctly to contractors, the inability to screen them out ahead of time, Again, in my opinion, okay, is the thing that drives the most people out of this business, because contractor errors many times are non-recoverable. See, when you pay out a draw to contractor for $10,000 and he puts it in his pocket and then takes off and goes to another job and you never see him again, you're not getting your $10,000 back. You cannot get that $10,000 back. So when contractors make mistakes or contractors purposely rip you off, you literally go backwards. It's the only aspect of this business that literally in the middle of the deal could start sending the deal backwards. There's nothing else in this business that, like in the middle, could start sending it backwards. You know, you could overpay for the property, you know, you might not be able to sell it for as much, but a contractor could literally start driving the deal backwards in two areas. One, financial, right? Two, time-wise. Time is the essence in this business. I mean, we're going into March here in the next couple of weeks. That's the spring season. You know, we are aimed to bring out a ton of inventory. Like I, as the investor, with many of my partners, we're timing this thing to bring out a bunch of stuff over the next month or so into the marketplace with our partners. It's the best time of the season best time of the year to bring things out. Well, guess what? If you got a contractor that's been screwing you for 4 months, you're now out money and you're out time. You may actually miss the best time of the year to sell something. Okay, so you got to be very cognizant of working with the right contractors. So a couple things to do there. Number one, never let the contractor get ahead of you. Basically, never pay for a job that hasn't been finished yet. Now, I don't mean like the whole job, but it should be released in draws. You know, 10,000 of work done, 10,000 of work paid for. You know, 5,000 of work done, 5,000 of work paid for. You know, people do it. The things that drive people in this side of the business, why they literally get bullied, is they'll tell me like, well, the contractor said that's how it works. Don't hire that contractor. I could tell you almost any contractor that needs to get draws from you ahead of time is a contractor that doesn't have the money. He doesn't have the money to carry the job. And if you're working with an experienced contractor, a contractor that's been at it for a while, and he can't carry $10,000, that's all I need to know about that contractor. You're telling me you're experienced, you got years in the business, you're licensed, you got multiple jobs going on, and you can't afford to put $10,000 of your own money into the deal? Means you're not experienced, you're not successful. You don't have a lot to show for what you're doing. So I always let the contractor get ahead of me, and then we reimburse. People say all the time, well, Pete, how do I know he actually did the work? I tell people, I don't even know how to change a light bulb. I mean, literally, if that light bulb just went out, my butt would be out of luck. I wouldn't know how to change it. okay? But I've paid out millions and millions of dollars in draws. What do? Until I got my internal team here to do it for me, what I used to do was just hire an inspector. You know, how does a bank release money? Do you think the banker like sends a teller when a borrower is asking for a $20,000 draw on new construction? No, they just hire a third-party inspection company. They match the bid against work performed and work done, and then they go and they tell the bank how much to release the draw for. Simple as that. Costs a little money, oh, but I promise you it's money well spent. That is absolutely money well spent that I would encourage you to do, okay? So don't let them get ahead of you. Get references of contractors. You know, it's amazing how people get references, and then you're like, well, what'd you think about that house? Well, I never saw it, but they told me they did, you know, Bob's and Mary's and blah, 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 but I never actually drove by the properties. Go check them out. You know, invest into avoiding pitfalls. Wrong closing agents, guys, a big pitfall for a couple reasons. See, the problem with the wrong closing agent is that closing agent could cause a couple issues for you. I mean, I've literally, actually, somebody very near and dear to me, just in the last couple of months, was buying some property out in a rural area, right? And for whatever reason, well, not for a reason, it's a very logical reason, they decided to use a closing attorney that happened to live in that area, happened to operate out of that area they were buying their property from. It was actually a closing attorney that the seller encouraged them to use. So they never really thought about it. Well, I'm buying in the rural area. There's not a lot of attorneys here. The seller knows his attorney. Make a long story short, this person put about $250,000 into his own money into these deals and realized later that the title was never conveyed to them correctly. Now, is this a correctable problem? Yeah, very possibly, but you know how much time, money, and effort and stress this individual has to go through now, knowing that they paid $250,000 for something they don't quite own? So big, big pitfall. Make sure you get very good recommendations on closing attorneys and closing agents or title companies. I'm still shocked to this day. See, to me, this is like unthinkable, but I still see it all the time. How many investors still close themselves their deals? Like in many states, it's illegal. Like here in Georgia, it's illegal. But every day we hear about it. You know, people try to save $1,000. They're buying a $250,000 deal and try to save $1,000 on a closing agent, and they literally, you know, they do their own title search. They prepare their own deeds. You know, there's software out there that'll even let you kick out a HUD now. That is insane. Always use a professional and find a professional that's accredited, that comes with credentials, that comes with references. Make sure you check out their references. Another huge pitfall. Getting in with the wrong partners. And I know we're in a partner-driven program here, but I will tell you, I could tell you horror stories about the wrong partners. So what I say when it comes to partnerships any longer is tread lightly. Get to know that person before you get into a partnership with them. See how they react when, everybody's great when things are going great, right? No one argues when things are going great. Partnerships fall apart when crap hits the fan. So before I get in a partnership with someone, I kind of want to test that person out. Or before I go into a long-term partnership, I want to test them out in the first one or two deals. How do they act? What happens when crap hits the fan? Do they bail? Or do they work overtime? What happens when the contractor screws them? Do they leave with the contractor, or they get in there and they work double time, double shift, and get other contractors in there and help themselves? Partners can destroy a partnership, a relationship, and a deal, I think, faster than almost anything else out there. So the best kind of pitfall I could tell you against partnership, not against partnership, but how to prevent that, is just tread lightly. Don't go into 30 deals with a particular person you don't know too well. Maybe do one or two deals max. Maybe not even as partners in the beginning. Maybe just as an employee-employee relationship or a contractor relationship. Or if it is a partnership, it's a very isolated way. But be smart. Be smart. So guys, I could tell you, I can go on and on and on about the pitfalls of this business. Reality, if those of you that are doing this business or have done this business, you could tell me yourself pitfalls. Because reality is real estate is full of pitfalls. It's full of things that could potentially go wrong. That's just how this business works. That's exactly how this business works. So we talk about the upside, but I will tell you, as much as we like to talk about the upside, it is absolutely critical that we eliminate the downside. Because you could do 10 deals right and one deal could, boom, knock you out. And it's not the whole deal that goes sideways, it's one of these pitfalls that goes sideways, and then the whole deal crashes. So be smart. Don't just look at the upside, always look at the downside, look at the pitfalls, anticipate them, try to avoid them. If they happen, know how to react to them. But I will tell you, I have a bias towards this. I think, in my opinion, the ultimate way for you that are listening to me here tonight or listening to me going forward in a recorded session is you partner with me, because as I started here 40-some minutes ago, that's what I told you. I do deals with people, and I partner with people. And see, it's not a bad partnership when you're with me, because I'm assuming all the downside. When you're partnering with me, I'm not asking you to put up your credit. When you're partnering with me, I'm not asking you to put $1 of your own money in the deal. When you're doing deals with me, I actually generate leads for you. We skip trace, we do research. When you do deals with me, we'll help you with construction. When you do deals with me, if crap hits the fan, I absorb it. And when you deal deals with me, when we sell it, I still split the deal 50-50, even though I think I'm putting a lot more. Well, I am. I'm taking all the risk. I'm mitigating all the risk for you. I'm putting up all the capital, putting up the resources, putting up my people. And in my opinion, that is the ultimate way for you to avoid pitfalls in this business. So for those of you that want to be part of our partner-driven coaching program, just simply go to our website tonight at www.coachingbypeter.com, or you can call me directly if you're ready to roll at area code 404-915-9685. So as always, guys, I enjoyed it tremendously. Avoid them pitfalls. Thanks, guys. See ya.